2006, you said the situation with Dirk, it changed. He started to take the way he ate, the way he trained, the way he did every single thing was different than the previous years because he had gotten so close. He got a taste of what it was like to play in the NBA Finals. You go up 2-0. You had to be feeling.
I thought this was going to be a fun interview.
It is. We gonna get to the fun stuff. So when you go up 2-0, you just like, we got this.
No. We were up 2-0, and it was the third quarter, and we're in Miami, and I always sit right behind the bench to this day, right? And I'm standing up, clapping, and I'm thinking, we're up like 14 in the third quarter. And I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, we might sweep these dudes. Not 2 seconds later, right? Udonis Haslem steals the ball, goes in for a layup. Now it's 12. Then a couple minutes later, Shaq pushes Eric Dampier, pushes him, and they call a foul on Eric Dampier. I'm like, oh, if he hits these free throws, we're in trouble. Shaq hits 2 free throws, right? I'm like, oh, shit, we're fucked. And, went downhill from there. And Dwyane Wade goes to the free throw line crazy. 973 times, right?
True.
So it was over.
Mark, let me ask you, the relationship that you have is unlike maybe only what Dr. Buzz had with Magic. Is that you party, you hang out with the players, you've hung out with the players. Do you find, how do you manage that? Because at the end of the day, you are the owner. You can sign players, you can trade players, you can release players. Has that ever interfered with your relationship with a player?
Yeah, for sure. Like my first year, we had a player named Eric Strickland, who I got to be really close with. Mm-hmm. Went to Nebraska, didn't have a long NBA career, but great dude, right? Okay. And we got to be really good friends. And it was draft night, and our guys were like, here's a trade we need to do. And I'm like, oh, fuck, right? We're going to have to trade him. And, and it was then I learned that you've got to do what's best for the team, and players respect that, right? And players, when they get traded, they may not like it, but they see another opportunity, hopefully the next place. But I also realized that basketball is X number of years. Life's a long, long time.
Correct.
Right? And like, even when we screwed up and let Steve Nash go, I've gotten to be friends with Nash. He took some time, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't like me for a long time, but, now we're friends again. And so, it's okay to be friends with them. It's okay to get close to them. You just have to be honest with them. Right. And if you're honest with them, it's okay. What
are your thoughts on super teams?
They don't really work. Over? Yeah, they don't really work. And it's going to be a lot harder now with the new CBA. With the new collective bargaining agreement, they have this first apron and second apron thing, right? And if you have 3 max out players, you're right there by the time you have 15 guys, you're over the second apron. And if you stay at the second apron for, 2 years, you're getting your first draft pick moved to the end of the draft, or you can't trade it. And then the second year, if you're over, you move to the end of the draft, right? No matter what. And there's limits on the trades you can make. It's hard to build a team. And so I think it's going to be harder and harder and harder for teams to have, a big 3 that are all maxed out. Now, what you want is what we hope is like a player, Clay comes in, right? And a Najee Marshall comes in, but we got someone we drafted like Derek Lively, who can be an all-star caliber player or better. Mm-hmm. It's just like the Celtics. They were able to make a lot of trades because Jay Brown and Tatum, were on not rookie contracts, but on lower contracts as the cap went up. That's what you need to have happen. And if you go for it and you get 3 max out players and it doesn't work, I mean, look at the Clippers. They had 3 amazing max out players and, injuries got in the way. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be really hard to keep together a team like that.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for the Clippers to keep that thing because PG is gone. Kawhi can, for whatever reason, he can't stay healthy. So
it's tough. It's tough, right? And I don't want to talk specifically about any one team, but 3 max out players, particularly as those numbers go up.
Yes.
Right? Those numbers go up because the max out contracts, as a percentage, you're at 35% for a supermax of the cap. And if you got 3 of them, right, that's 105% of the cap, right? Depending on when you sign it, right? So it's not going to stay that way because you'll sign a guy at 35%, then the cap will go up 10%, right? So he won't stay at 35%, but it's close enough, right, over just 3 guys that it's going to be hard to keep them together.
LeBron, obviously, are you surprised that he's been able to play as well as he has for as long as he has to be as durable as he's been?
Yeah, of course. I thought he was done 5 times already. The guy's a beast, but he's got that mental fortitude, right? It's like we talked about with Dirk. He's just one of those guys that he understands the assignment. You got to take care of your body. You got to take care of your mind. You've got to take care of your skills. His 3-point shooting has improved, you know, and so he gets credit for doing the work. And, you know, that's what makes him one of the greatest.
I tell kids, and when I talk to athletes, I say you have to spend more time because you're going to spend more time off the court or off the field than you do on the field. They say for a lawyer, for every hour that you spend in the courtroom, you need to spend 2.5 hours
Same in
prepared.
business. Yeah, same in business.
So if you're going to spend on the court, you spend that kind of time, you need to spend time eating and taking care of your body.
Especially as you get older,
training.
right?
Yes.
It does not get easier.
Yes, it does not get it
And trust
harder.
me, you're still young. Wait till it gets harder and harder and harder. You know, that shit is no fun. But he gets all the credit in the world for having that discipline to be able to do it. Most guys don't.
He wants to be an owner. Obviously, you know, I think you guys are looking at maybe bringing a team to Vegas. I think Seattle is being talked about. I don't know if there's anybody else, but I think those are the 2 franchises. And obviously, he's kind of looking at the one in Vegas. What type of owner you think LeBron would make?
I don't know. Players, it's going to be a lot harder for a player, right? We saw Michael Jordan, right? Great guy, had some success, but not as much as he wanted, right? It's hard because players have one mindset and they look at other players in a certain way. You know,
Man, why you can't do that? I could do that.
I can do it. Let me show you, right? I'm Michael Jordan. I'm 55 years old. I'm going to whoop your ass, right? But yeah, it's just a completely different perspective that's hard to disconnect yourself from. And it's hard to be objective and not have your player mindset. And so like when you've seen general managers that are former players, they're not the great players that were, you know, that are good general managers. It's the role players that got to watch everybody else and understand how to fit these pieces together. And so for any superstar, it's going to be hard.
Being an owner, what's a typical day for Mark Cuban when you were the full-time owner of the Mavericks? What's a typical day? What time do you wake up and what's your schedule?
So it depends what part of the season it is.
Okay.
So during the off season is when I had to do most of the work, right? Because the free agency and the draft and everything. So that's where I had to pay the most attention. And then when you get to the trade deadline, that's another time when you have to pay a lot of attention. Otherwise, I'm just screaming and yelling, right? There's, you know, as long as there's, you know, and it also depends if you're winning or losing. If you're winning, it's easy. Everything just goes. If you're losing, and you don't want to lose because there's rebuilding, and then there's losing when you think you're going to win. And when you're losing when you think you're going to win, that's when an owner has to do its stuff, right?
Want to join Club Shay Shay? Become an official member by hitting that subscribe button, where you never know who's going to be joining us for drinks and conversation. Don't be late to the party because you know we like to do something before 2 something.